are now coming in right now for U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who has now landed in Tel Aviv. And the Secretary of State's trip is now being billed as a message of solidarity and support coming in from the United States of America. Remember, this is a big visit coming amid the war and the crisis Israel currently is finding itself in.
So yes, these are the visuals of the U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, who's reached Tel Aviv. He's landed in Tel Aviv. Most certainly, the United States has continuously been sending out a message of solidarity, how it continues to stand in solidarity with Israel in these difficult times. It's also, remember, dispatched its first set of U.S. weaponry to Israel. We saw that development take place yesterday. And Antony Blinken, Rishabh, has now reached Tel Aviv. What's lined up for him in the next few hours?
So what we are learning that Antony Blinken is in Israel, and this comes amid America's unequivocal support for Israel. What we are learning now that Antony Blinken will be meeting his counterpart in Israel and will offer complete non-conditional support from United States to Israel. Remember, Israel has been fighting Hamas for almost 6 days now. It began on Saturday morning, and even now the death tolls are rising. As per Israeli forces, there have been 1,300 deaths in Israel, while Israeli forces have killed 1,500 Hamas terrorists who had entered Israeli territory. And as the escalations are increasing after the airstrikes that Israel carried out in counteroffensive, now Israeli defense forces are planning ground offensive in Gaza. For that, people who are around Gaza Strip borders in Israeli territory have been asked to step back and move towards central Israel, so that when the counteroffensive on ground begin, the priority remains Hamas targets and not the security of non-combatants in Israel. Amid all this, Antony Blinken landing in Israel shows that U.S. stands with Israel. We have seen James Cavalry, the foreign secretary, or rather foreign minister of UK, is also in Israel. We saw the footage where he took shelter after rockets were fired in the area where he was. So UK, US, Germany, France unequivocally supporting Israel at these tough times when over 1,300 Israelis have been killed in a terror attack that Israel now calls its 9/11.
Right, but Rishabh, the understanding is being, because in 6 days, ever since this terror attack actually started there in Israel, we're looking at how the countries, especially when it comes to the West and India, seems to be now standing in solidarity with Israel in these times. Let me also